Okay, remember that they're changing my voice. So this video is a response to the people who hack people's brains remotely, and that includes celebrities. So I recently saw part of a video about Michael J. White responding to Aries Spears. Now Aries Spears is like a play on words for my name to some degree. Believe it or not, this is how it's played. Because the Satanists see me as their only true opposition, really, and they see me as the main person that they aim their insults at. So when we're talking about satanic ritual abuse, it's first and foremost aimed at me. I've proven definitively that I'm Christ, that I've come back, and I've corrected various mistakes, like that people have made, like the fact that they think that the miracles in the Bible are magically literal. They're figurative, and I've proved that definitively. So now, he was saying something to the effect of that he wants Aries Spears to watch what he's saying and that he has to consider business and ramifications. No one in the history of humanity has considered ramifications more than I have. I used to beat punching bags to a pulp thinking about how someone thinks that I should watch what I'm saying when I'm Christ. So I've considered it. But for those of you who are confused about that, okay, the Bible was made by a bunch of Roman types, Greek types, oppressive Jewish types. It wasn't made by people who meant well. The Bible is Bible. There's a reason why the Romans, who wanted to abuse people, spread a religion that they interpreted it as, that people should turn the other cheek and all this stuff while they're getting raped and abused and robbed. That's the oldest Roman trick in the book. And they're trying to build the Roman Empire. Babel, Tower of Babel, Babylon, Bible, Babylon, in Bible, Babylon, in Bible, Babylon. That's what it's a play on word for. Babylon, Bible-in. Believe it or not, that is how it is done. That's how that magic spell stuff is done. If you look at the cults these days, they often describe it that way, and that's something that's been that way for a long time, right? A magic spell, spelling, alphabet, interchangeable vowels, vowel to L. So anyway, when we look at Isaiah 28:6, it says that I'm doing the right thing, and the people who think I'm not doing the right thing are mistaken. He will be a spirit of justice to the one who sits in judgment, a source of strength to those who turn back the battle at the gate. So I'm the head, I'm Christ, right? God is who I'm drawing my wisdom from, my judgments from, what have you. They're trying to interfere with technology, but you know them by their works. Wisdom is proven right by her deeds, and anyone with any sense knows the difference between good fruit and bad fruit. That's why he's saying to disciples who don't know very much about God and right and wrong, that you know them by their fruit, because just like Paul said in his letters, that good deeds are obvious, and you can tell that I'm doing the right thing. Okay, God is a spirit of justice that merges with my soul and spirit, right? I am in the Father and the Father's in me, and I'm sitting in judgment. God is my strength, and I'm turning back the battle at the gate. That's what I'm supposed to do. Now, some of you might think, why aren't you speaking in code like everyone else? Because they're deeply mistaken, and I'm not. John 3, verse 18. I might sound, a little hard to listen to right now. I'm a little irritated. Now let me show you something real quickly here. I'm going to go ahead and be quiet for like 3 seconds here, and you'll see that I calm down significantly. Okay, so now let's read John 3:18. Whoever believes in him is not condemned, but whoever does not believe stands condemned already, because they have not believed in the name of God's one and only Son. This is the verdict. Light has come into the world, but people love darkness instead of light because their deeds were evil. Everyone who does evil hates the light and will not come into the light for fear that their deeds will be exposed. But whoever lives by the truth comes into the light, so that it may be seen plainly that what they have done has been done in the sight of God. Okay, so let's break this down here. Again, this is John chapter 3. Let's go back to verse 18. Whoever believes in him is not condemned, right? What does it mean by believing, right? If you really believe in me, you're going to obey God through me. That's what it means to believe me. If you don't believe me, you're not going to. Right? You know them by their works, by their fruits. You're going to remain in me if you believe in me, and you're going to bear the fruit of believing in me. But whoever does not believe stands condemned already, because they have not believed in the name of God's one and only Son. So what did they do wrong? Right? They didn't believe in the name of God's one and only Son. Before we work the wordplay angle here, let's talk about the obvious. When someone says a prayer, is it just words? I mean, you can make up a word. You know, you can make up a word, cho, susa, wamu, ma, ma, ma. Right? That doesn't mean anything as far as I know. Okay? Now, if you're talking to God, you're in a spirit. So the word by itself means nothing. The name by itself, in terms of the literal definition, the word, what does it mean? It means nothing. It is the spirit in which it's said, the spirit in which is given, the spirit in which is received, the spirit in which is conveyed, what have you. So they did not believe in the name of God's one and only Son, the spirit and the principles that show you that I'm God's son. So when I say I'm the top martial artist ever possible, here are my works, they go beyond everyone else. When you don't believe that that formula means that you should obey God through me, you have not believed in God and his Son. You do not believe that God is all good, all knowing, and all powerful, and he only operates through those who are righteous. You instead think that God operates through the wicked. When I say operate, I mean, that God's spirit flows, right? It flows through the righteous. And so when you're saying, hey, Chukwu Haru, which is what I call myself, my name is Chukwuemeka. When you say Chukwuemeka is magically not God's son, I say magically so don't take me out of context. You're basically calling God evil. So then who is? Pee Wee Herman? Okay, so you're condemned because you're going to follow the Pope. He's obviously evil. The churches, they're evil. Mosques, synagogues, they're evil. So you're communicating to God by your action that you think that God would choose evil people and evil groups of people because they're nice to you or they have money or they're established. Okay, and so you're insulting God. And you're insulting God in a very potent way that has to do with who you marry, who you date, what you promote, what you commit to, your ways and your paths. It's idolatry. It's evil. It's the tree of knowledge. It's snaking. You're trying to cheat me out of my right to lead. So you're arguing by your actions that you think that God wants you to cheat the most righteous person that ever lived, who's the top martial artist ever possible, with a universal scale. So you're arguing by your actions that you think that God doesn't care about moral absolutes, right? Universal morals, universal pinpoint moral precision. So you're condemned already until you repent by obeying God through me. And if my flesh dies, you're done. If your flesh dies, you're done. And so it goes on to say, this is the verdict. Light has come into the world, but people love darkness instead of light because their deeds were evil. Their deeds, your actions, have shown that you love the darkness and the essence of darkness, the prince of darkness, the devil. That confusion is a light of moral absolutes, right? We see in Isaiah 51:4, a light of justice. God is known by his acts of justice. If God tells you what justice is first, and that's the only way you can know it, then how come he's known by his acts of justice? He's known by his acts of justice for the same reason the golden rule is what it is, right? Do unto others, you would have them do unto you. Same reason Luke 12:57 says, why don't you judge for yourselves what is right? And Isaiah 28:17 says, make justice and righteousness the measuring line and plume line. Goes on to say, everyone who does evil hates the light and will not come into the light for fear that their deeds will be exposed. So what would happen if the Pope debated me, or the Protestants, or any other religion? Then everyone's watching and they have no counter argument. I say, look, why is martial marital scrambled? Okay. Why does the word karate mean to make a covenant or create in Hebrew? Why would that be? Why is God known as the warrior? Why does Revelation 19 say the heavenly warrior defeats the beast? And they have no counter argument. So everyone sees them front and center. They're like, oh no, what do I do? What do I do, man? And they look stupid. And so it's seen plainly that what they have done is wrong. It's seen plainly that their deeds are evil, that they're liars, they're snakes, they're cheaters, they're no good. They're, yoked to the governing class when Satan said to be the God of this world in that certain sense. It goes on to say but whoever lives by the truth comes into the light so that it may be seen. So when you see me going on and on with 18,000, 19,000 videos, with my top martial arts challenge, what better way to get people's attention than say, look, I'm the top martial artist. At one point I offered $100,000. Right now, it's at $100,000 if I don't get compensated, get paid over time because I'm financially sabotaged. Pay nothing if you lose $50. If you show $100 million, if I am compensated, because of all the corporations and governments involved, they owe me easily over $1 billion. Take home, really. In fact, I now raise the challenge to $1 billion if they compensate me to that degree. And let it be known that I'm doing this in the sight of God. God knows very well what's going on here. I'm the son of 2 doctors, 1 a brain surgeon. I'm from the royal family of Dr. Martin Luther King's tribe. God is very aware of what's going on here, okay? And God knows all. And he's very, very, very aware of what's going on here because this is the most significant life in human history. And so I'm also in that spirit of justice and doing God justice and doing the divine order justice. And I sit in judgment with no speck or log in my eye. And God is my source of strength. When I say these things, I make a lot of people mad. Churches, mosques, synagogues. I live with my parents. I've lived with my parents almost my entire life, and I'm 44 and a brain surgeon's son. And just the other day, someone was like, hey, why don't you do this, that, and other thing? Why don't you get a job? Because I'm Christ and they've crippled me. They partially crippled me, but the challenge still goes. And I still win. And the government owes me all kinds of money. Why would I go work for the oppressor? I'd rather die than work for the oppressor or go homeless because I'm Christ and I have to honor the Father in heaven. And they refuse to debate me publicly. I'm not some coward in a cult somewhere trying to cheat people out of money. I don't want their money. I want them to rally to me so the government pays me what they owe and stop being a bunch of cheap, sniveling snakes.